We have Anna McKissack. Anna, are you on?
I'm here. Can you see me?
There you are. Yep.
Honestly, I don't blame them. I kind of want round two. I love the Lopkins. They honestly, they mentored me when I first got into the business. And so my favorite part about them is that they are like the real deal. So I still remember a lot of the things that I do and teach and everything came from them. And you've heard me say this being in leadership a million times. The word that has always stuck with me is inspiring people. And I truly believe that it started when I first got into the business and somebody told me the best rookie of the year has done X. And so I hit that like 7 months into the business and I was like, well, shoot, why did nobody tell me that it could have been more than that? And it wasn't until I talked to Lance and Tim Heil and they said, oh no, you could have done this. And Lance did like 8 million. And I was like, well, why didn't somebody tell me that? And he was the very first person that ever taught me to lead from a place of like inspiration and creativity and what could be. And he is a vision painter. And that has carried me through a lot of leadership. And so I am incredibly thankful for them and everything that they've taught and their time that they give back. And I would say that they embody the culture of Keller Williams in that company.
Anna, I totally agree. When you just, I mean, the fact that they have a website that they share their stuff that any of us can go on and get, I mean, like I'm doing that this afternoon when we're done with this.
Oh my gosh, I use that in all of my top 20% consultations. My people are probably so tired of hearing me talk about it.
It's really good. Okay, so Anna, tell everybody just a little bit about yourself in 60 seconds or less, and then because we got a little bit late start, and I know you have a PowerPoint, but then you're gonna tell us today how to get more listings now today.
Yes. Okay. So my name is Anna McKissack. I started in the business about 5 years ago. Year one, I was rookie of the year for my office, so I did about 5.5 million. A lot of people think that me having my last name made it a little bit easier for me, but in actuality, I had a team with my in-laws' name on it, 15 minutes north of me, that was doing about 60 million, and little old me, about 15 minutes south, doing nothing. I stepped in, I was 21 years old. Everyone asked me how old I was and how long I had been in the business. I would show up on listing appointments and they'd say, ooh, wrong McKissack. And my last name was trademark, so I couldn't even use my own last name on my signs or business cards.
I'm sorry, but I love that you're saying this because most people literally do not know this, and that is very true.
Honestly, it was a wild ride, but okay, so I have this sign behind me that says everything is figure outable. My mother-in-law got it for me. She's one of the greatest gift givers you could ever have in your life. And it has inspired me and to like, you just got to figure it out. You can hit roadblocks, but just figure it out, get creative somehow. Also, we had like no money because we just graduated from high school. Press and I got married from college. Press and I got married in college. So I did production for a little bit, and then my team leader asked me to step out of production and step into being an assistant team leader. She was one of the greatest leaders I've ever met in my life. And so I knew I had to spend time with her before she retired out of the team leader role. So I said yes. Press and I sold our book of business and turned over our office, our people, our book of business, everything all in one day. I was an assistant team leader for a year, and then we moved up from Texas to Ohio Valley region, and now team leader here. So that's kind of my story so far. And I love coaching top 20%. So that is my very favorite thing to do. And that's how all of this got created.
Perfect. Yep. And you do a great job of that. So I'm excited for you to share with everybody how they can get more listings today. So you're going to actually share some slides with them, right?
I am. So hold on, let me share my screen real quick. And the reason why I share slides, this is not death by PowerPoint, but the reason why I share slides is because I don't have a fancy website like the Loken Group. I inspire to that, but I'm not quite there yet.
We all aspire to that.
Yeah, not quite there yet. So I want everybody to be able to take screenshots of what I am doing. And so if you have a Mac, if you click Command, Shift, and 4, you can screenshot whatever is on the screen. If you're a PC user, sorry, I got nothing for you. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I only know Apple. So screenshot anything and everything. And if you need more info, my email is amckissick@kw.com. Okay. So typically the first question I get from my people is like, where should I start lead generating? Now, whenever you typically hear classes about lead generating, it's always something about like these ethereal ideas that are just a really good idea on paper. But whenever you walk out of the mastermind or office or whatever, wherever you hear these ideas, you don't really know what that like first step is. And it's always missing that. And so I want to talk about what is the like step-by-step thing that you can do in order to get more listings, and be really, really specific about it and give you examples as well. So where you should start to lead generate. So you always want to calculate the absorption rate. So you want to know statistics. It's how you make educated decisions on where your next target is. Because you can target your very favorite neighborhood, but if only one house comes up there a year, you're totally wasting your time and your money. You are not going to talk a seller into selling or a buyer into buying. And so don't try to go after a neighborhood or an area that just doesn't have a high turnover rate. So you're going to want to know absorption rate, because you're going to want to know how quickly can things go away. If no new listings came up on the market, how quickly will our inventory go away? And then you're going to want to calculate the turnover rate of a specific area. I believe it's either 6 or 8% is a good turnover rate. I think it's 8% is a turnover rate that you're looking for inside a specific area, to know if that's something that you should target and you should go through. So this is the calculation of how to calculate an absorption rate. So we've got 10 different things that we're going to go over as ideas, and you pick the 1 or 2 that you feel like you can actually execute. Do not try to do them all. I don't care if you take screenshots of them all, but don't try to do them all, because you won't do any then. And you have to follow through with it. You can have all the great ideas in the world, but if you don't follow through and follow up with them, none of them are going to pan out. So
I just want to pause really fast and let everybody know we are recording this too. And I know we're going to go fast because we have 20 minutes to get through all 10. So just if you miss one or any of those things, they're going to be able to get this so they can rewatch it. So
awesome. Okay. So this is an example. So I have Ryan Riddell up here, but I have to give credit where credit is due. Lee Hart is in my office, and she was the one who originally came up with this. I just knew Ryan was doing it, and he's my operating partner, so I stole it from him. And so my husband and I were looking at buying a new house, and there was this really specific neighborhood that I wanted. And so Press went along with what I wanted, of course, like a good husband. And I hand wrote these letters to people telling about why we wanted in their particular neighborhood. And we sent out 19 letters to 19 houses that had the build that I wanted. And we creepily went through the neighborhood and found all the houses and all that kind of stuff. And out of those 19 letters, I had 4 people respond and say that they would be willing for me to take a look. And this was a new build facility. This was like houses were being built in 2018 and 2019. So I thought that was a great idea. So we started telling our people about it, and Lee actually did it. So she'll send out like 1,400 of these at a time. And she told me she was going on 7 to 10 listing appointments a week from these. And she sends out these letters. They're typed. They look just like this. So Ryan did it, first name, last name, address, and just that 1 sentence, or I guess 2 sentences, but that's it. And Lee even does it in black and white. She doesn't even do it in color, because she found that there's the same conversion ratio for color as there is with black and white. Now, where I think the secret is she actually has her mother-in-law address the envelopes. And so having that hand address on there means you're going to have a higher open rate of the envelopes. And they just call that phone number. Typically, it's like a Google Voice phone number that they leave a voicemail on saying, and it'll give them the instructions on the Google Voice number in the voicemail saying, leave your name, your phone number, your email, and your address. And tell us why you're willing, or why you're wanting to know more about selling, or when you're thinking about selling, or whatever. And then you call back, so you're able to do some research on it first, so you can have an educated conversation with these people. And then you call and you schedule an appointment. Now, I know some people who are doing Zoom appointments with these people to where they don't even drive to their house. They literally just gauge their interest level via Zoom and then do a listing appointment. And there's some people who are doing it where they're just straight going on the listing appointment.
Hey, and a quick side note, someone posted in the chat,
Yep.
If she's really sending 1,400 per week, does she actually have buyers in all of those neighborhoods? Will you speak to that?
So yes, so she's actually picking an area because a buyer doesn't typically say, I want this one neighborhood and it's like do or die and that's it. Typically they're saying, I want this city or this area or within 15 minutes from work or school or whatever. And there's typically 1,400 people in that area. So I think Ryan sent out a couple of weeks ago, I think he sent out like 300 or 400 of them. And last I heard, he got 8 responses from it and he was going on 8 appointments. And he actually called me and he was on his way to like a $350,000 house listing appointment from this. So yes, she does have clients. That is the most important part, or else it's a bait and switch. And so she just tells them, I have a client, this is exactly what they're looking for. And you have a couple different options here. You can let them come look at the house. We can put your house on the market, or I can buy it from you if they're wanting to do because when they may answer to this, they may be looking for an easy sale. And so they may, want something that they don't want to do showings, or they don't want to do, anything like that. And you have to speak the language of what they're actually wanting. So you can offer those 3 different items. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. So number 2, door knock COVID style. So you can take door knocking to the next step. My MAPS coach taught me this, and I used to hate door knocking, but I did it every Friday with one of my agent friends. She would take one side of the street and I'd take the other side of the street, and we'd do a competition of who can get however many leads. And then I do it every Saturday morning, and Press would follow me in the car as I would go to each house, and he'd make sure that I wasn't murdered. So I would go to wherever I had a listing, or if I had an agent friend who had a listing, I would ask them if I could go to their house. And you can do a card to where you knock on the door. Now, if I would be doing this during coronavirus, I'd have a mask on and I'd knock on the door, and then I'd step like 6 to 10 feet back. Just give them plenty of room, because you just never know with some people. And if they don't want to answer the door, they're just straight up not going to answer the door. So just don't even worry about it. And I would have a card. And I'd say, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I sold the property, or we sold the property down the street. And you take one step back and you point at the property. That is the most important part. And then the person in the house is going to go from one of these things to where they're barely opening the door to they open the door and they look at wherever you're pointing. And now that you have the door open, it's all about the body language of how receptive they are. And I'd say, we sold the property down the street, 123 Main Street, right over there. And the new buyer is moving in, or your neighbor is moving out. And I'm actually writing a welcome to the neighborhood card and a sorry to see you go card. And would you like to sign them to welcome the new people and say goodbye to your old neighbors? And everybody would always say yes. And so you'd hand them the card. So maybe it's on like a, I don't know, something that you hand to them, like a clipboard or something like that. And so you hand it to them and you give them a second. Don't talk for a second. And they start writing something and you say, oh my gosh, this is just the craziest market. I got to ask, do you know of anybody else who's thinking about selling in this neighborhood? Because there were multiple buyers who previewed the property or put in offers for the property and they didn't get it. And so I really want to find a place for them. Do you know of anybody else? And it becomes more of a conversation, and it wasn't quite so pressured. And I found a significantly higher conversion ratio of taking that kind of to the next step. Okay, the next one is divorce. So divorce is an interesting way to go after listings, but it is a way to make a relationship with one person and then get multiple different pieces of business off of it. So 31% of people that go through a divorce will sell their house or move within 6 months. And there was about 125,000 people who moved and had divorces in Ohio each year. And so there's 38,750 home sales, which was interesting. So over 70% of people that have divorces, they sell their house and then they go buy 2 new houses. So it's a way to get 2, possibly 3 transactions. Now it's tricky, so I want to give you a couple of tips here. So you can do it through Facebook ads. You can target people. You can also look at hashtags or search for hashtags on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that kind of stuff. If you do a discount, and I'm saying this because it's just life, people are going to ask for it, and some people are going to do it. Some people wholeheartedly don't believe in it. But don't do it on the sale of their home. Do it on the purchase of their homes. Either way, it's the same for them. But if you do it on the purchase of their homes, that way if something happens, then you don't discount the sale and then never get the money if they decide to rent instead. So get to know attorneys, marriage counselors, accountants, all that kind of stuff. And I have heard of people who they would literally bring cinnamon rolls to an accountant or a marriage counselor or whatever every single week. That's just what they did. And that's how they built friends with people. And that is how they built their entire business, off of bringing cinnamon rolls to one person. And it worked for them. Investigate the deed. Make sure that's something that you look at, because that's just a part of reality with divorce. Communicate in writing with both parties and protect their privacy. So those are important pieces to know whenever you're dealing with divorce. So there's pre-foreclosure and notice of defaults as well. So county records collection agencies sell that kind of information. Find your state's process of how they do pre-foreclosures and notice of defaults, because every state does it a little bit differently, but you can actually go buy those lists. So I believe last I checked, LandVoice and RedX offer lists as well that you can purchase. But those are ways that you can get in prior to the share of sale, or however your state does it, and get in and start saving people. You can be the person that walks in and like if you have a foreclosure or something, or you know, you want to be able to make sure that they are taken care of. Granted, their credit might not be awesome, but you can actually save them from having restrictions over the next couple of years and purchasing their next house. The next one is just sold postcards. So there's just listed and just sold postcards. From my research, just sold postcards have a higher return ratio than just listed postcards. I'm not totally sure as to why. I think just listed postcards are a little bit more of like, hey, I just wanted to let you know this is a thing. Whereas just sold postcards are like, we actually did it. We sold the house. And so statistically, when one house sells, there's typically 2 more houses that come on the market. You do not want to be the one that misses it. You want to be the one that's in front of them. And so when you're sending these postcards to people, you have to have on there a call to action of not why a realtor, but why you, why specifically you is the person that they should hire. So many people put on there reasons as to why they should hire an agent, and not the reason as to why they should hire that personal agent who is sending it. So you can put, we sold at 5,000 above list price, or 103% of list price, or something on there that you did that. Or if it sold below list price, come up with some other reason as to why you are the most important person that they call in order to sell the house. Not just that the market is good, and not just that they need an agent. Then inside of command, you can also send postcards to a specific area. And you can do targeting to where you can do targeting of similar houses. So 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, between 1,000 and 2,000 square feet. And you can put in the last time that they sold. So you're not sending a postcard to somebody who sold last year. And because realistically, they're just not going to. So you're going to want to look at what is the average ratio of when people move in your area. So use that, because that's going to actually save you money, and you can be more strategic by using that. The next part is using Keller Mortgage. Gosh, this is a tool that not enough people use, and it drives me crazy because it is such a good tool. So find a target area with a price point that has heavy homeowners that could be moving up. So it may be like a first-time buyer or first-time home area, because you can be providing, like when somebody is moving up out of their first home and into their second home, they're still looking for a way to save money, but they have the ability to move up. And so Keller Mortgage speaks to their soul of saving more money, because they can get $1,000 credit at closing and they don't have to pay any lender fees. And you can send a mass email out to your database. I had an agent at my last office that did this. I think it was at the end of October or first week. It was at the end of October. She sent out an email to everyone in her database saying, hey, have you been on the fence about buying or selling? I just wanted to let you know I had this tool and I don't think I've communicated it to you. Let me know if you want more information. She had 3 million in production. Email her back and tell her, hey, I think that maybe we need to take this deal. And she closed 3 million before December 31st from that one email. So that is an awesome way to get more business immediately. And if you are sending it out to a group of your database of maybe past clients that's worked with you, or your database, if you're targeting a certain area, then they're typically going to have listings as well. Nick Baldwin has a script to text out to leads and some cold leads. So these are some examples. So for Keller Mortgage, I use a lot of my operating partners because I figure that he probably doesn't care. I screenshotted some of his advertisements that he did for Keller Mortgage, and at the top is Nick Baldwin's script that he sent out to people. I believe that he said he sent it out to 100 people and had tons of responses coming back. I'm not sure exactly what the statistics are of how many people he had texting him back, but it was a great way to re-engage people and to say, hey, I've got this tool and I just wanted to make sure that I communicated to you about what it was. Okay, command Facebook leads. So Tyler Shields is coming up after me, and do exactly what he says. Everything that he says, do it. But seller leads are possible. There is no rule out there that says that you cannot get seller leads off of Facebook ads. They are typically a little bit more expensive, although they're not, I mean, it's not like what you would pay if you were getting leads off of Zillow or OpCity or, you know, any of those paid lead sources. So they're still much cheaper. My suggestion is to run 2 different types of ads and see what has a higher conversion rate. It could literally be 2 different background pictures and one can have a significantly better conversion ratio than the other one, but just try it. It never hurts. So here's an example of what my operating partner did. How has COVID-19 impacted my home's value? Find out now. And so this was perfect because it was speaking to the market of the moment. Like he ran this when I think it was about April-ish timeframe. So a lot of question marks around COVID was still kind of up in the air. And so here was one that he did, and here was the other one. Exact same wording, different background. I think one of it he got 27 leads off of, and one of it he got 2 leads off of. So it just kind of depends on what you have, what people respond to. And sometimes you can't perfectly predict it. Here are some of the interests. So it's perfect timing that Tyler just hopped on. Here are some of the interests of what you can target Facebook ads for. And you can focus more on the selling targets and interests as well. Number 8 is data bank. So I got the word data bank from the Logan group. So there is something that you can do that I've shadowed Dave Norberg. He is out in California, and I listened to him call his database for, I think it was 3 or 4 hours. And at the end of every single phone call, he said the script, can I count on you for 2 referrals this year? And it was the most natural thing you've ever heard. And at first, when I tried it, I was like, oh man, this is kind of awkward. But it worked for him. And so once I kept doing it, it became more natural. And I think he was like 90-something% referral based. You can also offer a charitable donation page for people because it creates a bigger why as to why people should use you. So in our listing packet, when I was in production, we had a whole page of here's a list of 5 different charities that I'm going to take a portion of my commissions and I'm going to give away to these charities, and you circle the one that you would like for me to give away. These are the ones that are important to me. Now you tell me out of these which ones you would like. And it gave them a stronger reason as to why to use me. You can put people in Facebook groups. So on the right-hand side, you see like a screenshot. There's a friend list. This isn't a group to where everybody knows they're in a group, but you can have a list of past clients, your database. And so you can actually lead gen in the mornings to where you can just go on to this friends list of people and just interact with them. That's all you have to do is interact with them, and you can get a lot out of that. Facebook birthday cards. You can, every day when people's birthdays come up, 2 to 3 days before, go and just click on their name because it has an upcoming birthday section. Go click on their name and just send them a Facebook message that says, hey, I'd really like to send you a birthday card. What's your address and your email and your phone number? And almost everybody answered, and we did that for a year, and it grew our database like crazy. And then I've also seen for ways to have client events, COVID style, is doing family pictures, like a mini session of come during your scheduled time, and we'll do a 30-minute mini session, or school pictures. I know I've got 2 minutes. I'm aware, I'm flying through it. Upsizing is great right now because for every 1% rates increase, you lose 10% of your buying power. So the fact that rates are so low right now, it means that people who are moving up in their house size, then they can actually buy a bigger house because of it. And they're putting more money towards principal, which is what you get back rather than interest. So being able to communicate that to people can explain, okay, why is it a good time to upsize? This is also in Shift, explaining why it's so important to price properly, because when people are upsizing, sometimes they can get greedy with their money and they're going to want to price up their property a little bit. So this is something that you can use inside of your listing presentations. And then the last one is when people say, okay, it's a great time to upsize, but what about downsize? How do you explain that? So right now, because the market is so good, that higher priced and luxury houses are moving at a faster rate than they typically are. And so it's still a good time because more people can afford their houses. It's a good time to downsize. And then these are the conversion ratios for multiple different types of lead generation that I always felt like were good to know, of how much money should I put towards something and where should I use it and what should I try, essentially. So I know I went through that really fast, but hopefully that gave everybody the info that they were wanting.
That was awesome. I wrote so fast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would love for you guys to post in the chat what was your favorite 1 or 2 or 3 that you're going to go back and implement. Because, you know, we all get to hear the same stuff, but going and actually being the ones, the 20% that will implement it is what's going to make a huge difference. So Anna, any like last parting thoughts that you would give? That was awesome.
So a couple of different things. Number one, I really want to make sure you guys understand that first one was from Lee Hart. So if you've got referrals, send them to her, because she was the one that I totally ripped that off of, and I want to make it worth her time.
Anna, she's on, Anna. She's
awesome. Lee, I probably should have texted you before. And the second thing is, I know we don't have time for questions, so if you put them in the chat box, I'll hang around and I'll try to answer all the questions that I can.
Perfect. The chat's blowing up, so thank you.
If they want the, will you put your email in, so if they want the slides, they can email you?
Yes, I will do that. Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, Anna.
Okay, absolutely. Bye.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.